Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jay Donovan.
Jeff Fisher.
Me, Todd Novak, minus Aaron Cook. He's wherever he is right now. He's not with us, unfortunately. Hopefully he'll show up, but maybe he won't. Who knows? And we've got a special guest knob.
Jared Brandon
of Brandonwound Pickups. Dudes, I am stoked to be back. That probably spiked pretty hard on there, huh?
No?
It
was good.
All right.
Just a little hard.
Got Jeff MC monitoring the levels. You got the Minister of Information.
Yeah.
Over there. And we have, sickness and life and work and vacation and summer has dealt us a blow over the last week or two.
Destroyed us.
Jay Donovan. And Aaron Cook is missing.
Hey, but I'm here now, and that's
yeah.
What,
we're
counts,
all together
right?
now. I like that.
We're
We're
back.
kind of
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, something like that. We're really excited to have Jared. Jared. I have one of those throat things where you're like, a
glottal
is it just
stop?
me? A gloggle stop? Is that what it's called?
I don't
You
know.
just made that up.
No, isn't that in German or whatever?
Yeah, you can't clear those out in front of the wife.
A
I
gloggle.
hate that.
Glottal stop. I think that's what it is. Maybe I'm
That's interesting. It sounds like a industrial dance or something.
glottal stop.
I don't know. Okay, so Brandonwound Pickups. We're going to be talking about pickups. Pickups are. I'm off to a stellar start today.
You're really killing this one, man. It's awesome.
I'll tell you what, pickups is one of those things that pickups are another dark art, I think, to a degree in the guitar world. I think anytime that there's something that has electric and metaphysical, or at least scientific physical properties involved with it, a lot of us don't know what to do with it. We have enough knowledge to be dangerous, and that just means being able to buy other pickups, like used pickups or replacement pickups, with a decent amount of knowledge. But Brandon Wound, Jared.
Whatever you want, man.
Yeah,
You'll get a
it's
new
funny
name
because
every
whenever
minute.
I'm talking to them, I'm like, "Hey, I'm having lunch with Brandon." The Jared thing throws me off, and I know that's your name, and that's terrible. But yeah.
I was called Brandon when I was in the military. It's fine.
Really? Yeah, everybody calls me Novak. So
You have
it's
two
like,
first. Your last name is the first name.
That's right. So is my middle.
What's your middle
Alan.
name? Jared, Alan, Brandon.
Hey, I'm proud of it.
Yeah, man, that's easy.
No, that's
like you
great.
can go by any one of those, and it's like
I'm fine with any of them, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't be proud either, because you're like 6'10", 6'11"?
6'6".
No, you're not 6'6". You're a imposing physical character.
Well, I'm 6'6". I mean,
Okay, I'm gonna agree with you.
I'm
not
5'6".
gonna- Yeah, we got a foot difference on the other side
and
of
we're
the
sitting
table
next
now.
to each other.
That's-
There's
yeah.
a comical picture. In
Well,
this
when we were
Yeah,
going down to
there's-
pizza the
needs
other
to be a
day, you
picture.
guys looked like the cover of Twins. It was really hilarious.
so I'm assuming I'm Danny DeVito, right? Like,
Anyways, what the hell are we talking about?
I can talk about being tall all day too, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to call out the over
That's
obvious,
all right.
but the folks listening don't know that.
painting the picture here.
And I'll get into all of that in a little bit, but let's talk about what is going on in our musical worlds today. Just start with Jay.
So what's going on? I was just today looking up something I didn't know that much about, which is Nashville tuning, or high-strung guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this may not be news to a lot of players out there listening on this, but I was like, how does that work again? I'd always heard about it, but I didn't get it. And for anyone that doesn't know, it's the same tuning. It's just that you use higher gauge strings, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. It makes it ring more like a 12-string, but you use like little unwound on your low E.
Oh.
So anyway, it was cool, and I was looking at some songs that have been played like that, and I think it was Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. For some of the solo work, he used that.
Really?
Used the high string. That's what he said. That's what David Gilmour said.
Well,
So that was all.
I'm not going to argue with David Gilmour.
I mean, he knows a thing or two
Sir
about playing
David
guitar.
Gilmour, right?
He speaks French too. Did you know that?
Oui. See what I did
Wow.
there? Yeah.
So
That's cool. So
just I was just like on a.
were you just doing the tuning, or were you doing string changes, or what?
No, it just like randomly happened in a search. I was searching actually David Gilmour.
Mm-hmm.
And
So wait a minute.
I found a
you were
story about
searching,
him.
You were searching for G strings, and you found Nashville. How to rewind a Nashville G? What is that?
Yeah, I was searching for G strings,
Uh-huh.
banana hammocks.
Well,
and,
wait, that's dude stuff. Why? What?
no,
Okay.
a G string. Yeah,
Yeah, not a banana hammock. That's not. That's a different thing.
it's a
Dude.
kind of G string. No, I was joking. I was actually searching for stuff about David Gilmour, and that's when I came across a video I was watching. We were talking about The Wall or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of I have a classic rock thing that I love,
Yeah.
70s rock, and during the course of this video interview, he talked about how he played some of those solos, and he said he used a high-strung guitar. And then I was like, what's a high-strung guitar? I've never heard of that. Did a little searching, and then it turned out it's another way they call Nashville tuning.
Okay.
And so then I went through, and then it was a Wikipedia and Linkfest, watching a bunch of videos of people playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It was kind of cool, kind of interesting. I'd heard about Nashville tuning, I just didn't know all the details, so looked it up.
Interesting. What made you? What was the David Gilmour search for? Just cause?
Just because I was like, taking a break from work,
Yeah.
take like 5 minutes.
Yeah. You
Random,
do
because-
work like a beast,
because
so it's not like you're just sitting there looking at stuff.
My
all day.
mind.
Yeah.
That's how my mind works. Is like suddenly, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there's just something that pops into.
I
it.
don't understand that at all.
Yeah, attention deficit. You don't.
So what kind of gauge do they use?
So one thing some people do that I read about was they'll just get a set of 12-string strings, and then just use the high ones.
Oh.
It's tuned up 1 octave. The low E is 1 octave up from what it normally should be. So it's similar to the top. Then the top 2, the highest strings are as is, and it's just the other 4 are higher octaves. And then David Gilmour said he actually tuned them up even 2 octaves sometimes. He did some.
See, there's more black magic, man.
Yeah, who knew?
Do you ever mess around with tunings much?
No, the last
Jared,
time I
Dale, and
met
Brandon.
No. The last time I messed with tuning was playing some Led Zeppelin songs. The Rain song, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and the song remains the same. That's I think, and drop D. Who doesn't do that for heavy metal or hard rock or whatever?
Right.
But that's
your
the extent of mine.
wheelhouse too, right?
Hard rock, yeah.
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 Cool. All right. So we learned about that. That's good. I think we should all research that a little bit more. I'm gonna try to find out a little bit more about that. I think that would. I mean, if nothing else, it sounds like it's just gonna be a lot chimier.
It was. There's more bell-like, and it just kind of. It sounded cool. It rang differently and was obviously higher. It seemed to like sustain a little bit longer or something on some of the acoustic guitars I watched people, YouTube videos of people playing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. And the one guy said this, though. He said, you don't want to do this. Well, you can do anything you want. And so we don't have to listen to that guy. But he said if you're doing covers, some people will the tonality will be different playing this kind of guitar, and it's wouldn't be as recognizable if your goal was to have the cover sound like the cover. He's like it does change the tone of it. So he's like, you don't want to use it for covers, but writing your own stuff. But I think you could do anything you want. We don't, can't stop me.
No, man, I'm not gonna stop you. Jared might.
Nope.
Jared,
Well,
Brandon,
he probably
Allen.
could because he's 6'6".
Steve. We're just gonna call you Steve. Hefe, what do you got going on this last week?
We've been talking about building a cabinet for
Oh
you.
yeah.
Guitar cabinet for a while. So I've just been researching what does it really take to make a guitar cabinet
Aside
and
from wood.
besides wood, which there's not doesn't appear to be a lot of science that goes into these cabinets.
But
So
you've built a couple already.
But I thought there was.
there's
the whole
not.
thing was like how the angles and everything.
that's like for like high end sound, yeah.
And
for
maybe,
bass guitar,
closed
yeah,
back
but
cabinets, that probably has some.
for closed back a little bit more,
Okay.
not a lot more.
We are unraveling your sweater right now.
A little bit, but yeah, it was really interesting. Like because of course the regular guitar does not go way into the low frequency range,
Right.
which is basically what the box is really absorbing and containing and controlling.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much low energy. There's not much you have to do with that bottom cabinet section. So that's why open back is, really easy to build, because it doesn't really matter what size that cabinet is that much. Just open up the back and it sounds phenomenal. So some interesting reads. The most interesting thing I read was the old Fender cabinets. Some of the first ones that they were building, they used what they called a floating baffle. So a lot of people still use this idea of a floating baffle, which means what the speaker is attached to, they only screw down maybe 2 points on the board versus locking that thing solid into the cabinet. So the baffle actually resonates with the speaker more. It's supposed to create a little bit more, not mushier sound, but a little bit more mushier sound. So that was kind of interesting. And then we've just been debating, are we going to build this or not? And that's still up in the air. So we'll figure that out soon enough.
That's cool, man.
You just lost your microphone.
Did I?
Yeah.
Jeez. How about now?
You are back in.
I'm back on. Yeah, my mic was all getting wacky right there. Yeah. So I kept trying to make him get tricky with it, because it was like, well, what about if we shave an angle off one of the sides in the back so that we could put it on its side and do a kickback at, He's like, why don't you just put it on your stand? Well, yeah, but
what I want to know, can you put carpet on it? Does anybody do that?
Sure. Why would you not?
Like shag rug carpet
Super
all around
shag.
outside of it?
That would be awesome.
Super shag carpet.
Why not? I mean, if custom can do tuck and roll, right?
You'd have to sweep it every once in a while.
Sweet.
But
Carpet freshener on it.
yeah, does anybody do a cabinet with carpet on it? Like shag
Not
carpet?
that I'm aware of, but there's always
sitting on a
room
gold
for
mine.
now.
There you go.
Yeah, go do that. Tell us how it ends up.
Don't carpet my cabinet, though.
No.
That's the one I'm going to start
No.
with, if you ever get it back from me.
And you got Berber and medium pile and shag. And
you go.
Tile.
Yeah.
Are we going to move into
Linoleum.
tile? We could even...
Faux parquet floor linoleum. That would be amazing.
there it is.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Jeff?
Nah, that's all.
Awesome.
God.
Sir, J-A-B. Jared Allen Brandon.
That's right. Well, as far as this week,
That's great. Let's get into our
He has a way of doing this,
about all
by
I
the
had.
way.
no. So I got that Explorer, and that's been really fun to mess with.
So, okay, back it up. Context. What Explorer? Tell us about the Explorer that you just got. Tell us about the Explorer you just got.
Gibson Explorer.
Yes.
It's a 1990, and I love the way it plays. I love the neck. That's why I bought it. I don't buy a guitar unless I like the way it plays. The looks doesn't really bother me that much. It's how it feels, and the sound. As far as that's concerned, I can change that. Yeah.
So it was that an acquisition that you felt like you had been wanting for a long time, or?
Not really. I picked it up and I played it, and immediately I liked the feel of the neck. I loved how it played, and I thought to myself, I don't have an Explorer or anything funny like this to mess with as far as testing pickups out and stuff like that.
Right.
Why not? So a buddy of mine owns a guitar shop in Fremont, Ohio, and he gave me a good deal on it, and known him for many years. So I picked it up, and I've been
it was just a purchase. It wasn't a trade or anything like that.
it half purchase, and then with some product that he that I make, and pickups that he'll sell.
Oh, and
kind of a partial thing. So
what's the color scheme on it?
it is like an aged white color. I think it came like that. I'm pretty sure, like an aged cream color, and then it's got a white pickguard, and originally it came with black pickup rings.
You know what year it is?
It's in 1990. Yeah.
Nice. So that's got what pickups are in that?
Those came with
Are those Burstbuckers?
No. I want to say they were a version of Bill Lawrence, but don't hate me if I'm wrong. But it was called the original, and it had the base plate, which is the bottom of the pickup that the screws screw into. It's plastic. It's like a computer chipboard type material. And the bobbins are, I don't like the way the bobbins are because they're very cheap plastic. They crack. Almost every version of this pickup you'll see has a crack on the plastic bobbins.
Interesting.
And so of course I took them out. Now I did like the sound of the bridge pickup. I really liked that, but everything's got to come out, and I have to put my own stuff in.
Is it white on white or is it black pickguard?
It's white on white. It's the aged white look with the white pickguard.
Right.
And
gold hardware?
nickel hardware.
Nickel hardware.
Yeah, it'd be easy to change it gold.
Yeah. That's the cool part about doing that is you can do whatever the hell you want. That's cool, man. I like an Explorer. I've got a black Explorer. It's an old Dean. So it's not the newer, like thinner, like super metal ones.
How many guitars do you have?
Enough.
Like
no, that was the wrong answer. What the hell did I say that for? Not enough.
Not enough.
That's the right answer always.
If you were to
Doesn't
give me
have
a
one of
range,
everything.
because every time you've got a new one every time.
He's making all this up. I had one of those, Walden.
Do you have like
No, I
5
have
or
a-
10?
No, I think I have about 8 right now.
8. All right.
But hey, man, I got more room, plenty more room.
Got a whole nother wall.
Yeah, I got a lot of walls. Right now it's all hanging on slapboard, so I got room. I got more hooks. So tell us. Okay, so you got that. Now, do you play that? Do you play that high? Do you play it low?
That's a good question. Something like that, it looks better, in my opinion, to play it a little lower.
Yeah, right.
And
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Like
right.
an
usually
SG, right?
heavy metal type
Play
of
it
people,
low slung
like
like
an
an
SG.
SG.
Dingus. Cool, man. So you've been playing that, like just shredding that up most of the time.
I'll get it
Recently.
out, and if I have time, I'll get it out and shred it up. Of course, before the wife comes home.
Yeah.
I've also been eyeballing the L6-S. I've been listening to I don't know why. I've been listening to a lot of old Kansas lately. And Rich Williams plays an LS-6 or L6-S. I'm sorry. And I love the way that thing sounds. It's got these pickups in it that are not very common at all, and they don't show any pull pieces. They have the regular nickel covers, and the 70s do. And they have that resin-filled epoxy that you cannot remove and look inside and see what makes the thing tick. And that's frustrating, but I think I'm going to buy a broken one and dissect it with a Dremel.
That's a tone switch then, yeah?
Yeah, that's a
Tone selector?
Veritone,
Veritone, right, yeah.
type thing.
That's pretty cool. I never see those used. Never.
EB3 has something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a bunch of different sounds you get. I imagine splitting the pickup, going in and out of phase. There's probably a choke in there. In fact, I know there is a choke. Is a couple of spools wound with wire to basically choke the tone, take a lot of the highs out.
Like on a Vox
Right.
amplifier. So
Yeah.
you roll off the tone instead of
Sure.
That's cool, man. The body style on that looked pretty neat. For those not familiar, it's kind of a Les Paul body style, but it has it's not as severe of a taper.
It's not as
right
thick.
after the So
There's no maple cap, and the fretboards come maple too, which is very different.
Yeah.
Now you had your Les Paul in this, and I believe in the 70s that a very rare Les Paul that came with the maple cap, but these are a half and half of what I see. A lot of them come with maple, and then a lot of them come with rosewood. But yeah, I really want one of those just to dissect it, and I really want to see how those pickups are made. It's going to be really difficult with an epoxy-filled resin pickup. You can't dig into those without destroying them. But I'm willing to do that just because I want the specs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's a special pickup only for that guitar?
I believe so. I mean, I've been winding pickups for about 9-10 years, and I've never had one sent to me to repair, of course, because you can't. And you don't see them that often at all on any other models. So yeah, it's a very rare pickup model. But I love the way it sounds in those records, in those Kansas records.
Yeah.
Because Rich Williams played one for a long time. It's kind of an oddball, not an everyday pick as far as guitar player, but I just really like the sound. I want to dig it up.
That's cool, man. I like it.
Something still in your throat, huh? Still got something in there. Can't get that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
You wanna drink
anyways,
the water?
what I did this week.
Oh, what did
Hey.
you do this week?
You don't.
Hey, Todd, what'd
don't
you do
bring me
this week?
flowers anymore. I've been on speaker hunt like mad because I got to build this cabinet that we were talking about. So upcoming episodes are going to feature a lot about. I mean, not a lot to where it's like, oh my gosh, stop talking about speakers. But
No,
we're gonna
I'll
make
probably
a couple.
be thinking that.
We're gonna do a couple episodes where we really dig into speaker selection and all the voodoo around that, because there is a lot. And yeah, so just been going to all the speaker sites, doing all the comparisons, YouTube comparisons, and just trying to figure out, as best I can, what I have, what's going to work. So more to come on that. Yeah, so let's get into it. What we've got for our main topic, which we're excited about. We've been working with Jared quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, just dialing in what we want to talk about and getting to know his business and stuff. And I'm just gonna I want to touch on how we ran into you. I thought it was kind of a unique meeting, and then we'll let you kind of do your thing, and then we'll grill you with questions. And yeah, we got so on our table right now, aside from like a whole bunch of rotten microphone cables, is a pile of awesome pickups. And that's kind of what Jeff and I were at the guitar show here, and we're out of Columbus, Ohio, in case anybody hasn't figured that out. We went to this show recently, and we turned around the corner, and there's this huge dude standing here with his arms folded, looking very imposing. And we stopped at his table, and he just, he had all these pickups out there, and they, real nice looking and quite a variety. And so I just said, "What's your deal, man?" And said, "I'm selling pickups." I said, "No, I just had a sixth sense that there was some, what's your story there?" I knew that there was a story there before, so we talked to him a little bit about that, and struck up a great conversation, and have been meeting up since. And Jeff and I got to go visit his winding laboratory, and got to rock out with a whole bunch of awesome amplifiers and really sweet guitars. You've got quite a nice vintage guitar collection.
Thank you.
And it was really cool to see, like, okay, so what does a winding studio look like? And so we learned a lot. We learned a ton. And hopefully we're gonna shed some of that light on you guys this episode. I have a feeling we'll probably do a follow-up episode when we get into some deeper stuff, and probably hopefully field some questions that we get. So Brandon, why don't you just kind of walk us through how you got to do what you're doing?
Okay, yeah. So I was in the military 3 years. I got out. I was active duty. I got out. I was a military policeman. I didn't really want to do that the rest of my life. I just didn't want to do it.
You can't play guitars.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I just don't. I really don't mentally have what it takes to do some of the things that cops do.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't me. I got out of that. I went into construction, and which I was a lot better at. My dad was a brick salesman for a long time, and he got me a job, and I started doing masonry construction. And you start out as a laborer. So I'm working really, really hard. By Friday, you're done, man. Yeah. You're dead. And then you got a gig, just Friday or Saturday night. And so you play all weekend. Sunday, you're just dead. And then Monday, you get up and you do it all over again. I did that for about, 7-8 years. Met my wife. We moved to Columbus. Work was getting it was getting kind of bad. It was like 2007-ish and 2006 when the economy started going bad. I got a sales job here in Columbus, and that even went kind of downhill. And because I was new there, I was one of the first to be laid off. Because I was a new guy. They needed experienced people to keep the company going. So I was laid off, and I did some construction on the side for some do-it-yourselfer guys or just private guys or whatever. And I started messing around with guitar pickups because I was bored. I wanted to see how they worked, and I wanted to repair.
You have like a bit of an electrical background at all?
I do. No, I'm sorry, I don't.
You can't lie.
Yeah, I
do. I mean, I don't.
I didn't have an electrical. The only background I had was taking toys apart when I was a kid.
Right.
Taking like old tape decks apart that my dad had.
Right.
I wish I hadn't have done that because they're really old. And
that was fun though. I used to do the same thing. Yeah. Tear all that stuff apart.
Tear it up and see how it worked. And that's pretty much how I got started. I think
that's a common story, honestly. I think that like a lot of people who do this more specialized things, like pickup building or even luthiers and stuff, is like just finding out how things work. And then
what makes the tape go across the tape head? What's the motor look like? What's powering it?
Yeah.
I was not academically outstanding in school by all means. I struggled in school. But one thing I was decent at was electricity. And there wasn't much of that. And there was a little bit in science here and there. But when that subject came around, I did okay. So I always had what it took inside to do this kind of work. And I love it. I love doing it all the time. So I started out rewinding and repairing pickups for people. The first pickup, the first company or customer I ever had, I didn't even wind it very tightly, and it wasn't done very well. And thank God the thing worked when I sent it. I barely knew what I was doing. So it was a trial by error type of experience for me. And that's how I learned. Like sometimes I learned the easy way, sometimes the hard way. But the guy got back with me, said, these windings are loose, and no. So I thought, okay, I gotta, wind the pickups tighter, and I bought a small spool of wire from a parts supply in Athens, Ohio, Stuart McDonald. That's how I started, and that was, I believe, the ending of 2006 or 7. I don't remember.
So how'd you get this first customer? Was it
just eBay?
Oh, really?
eBay was the catalyst of my business, and that's what I did. It was eBay at first. So and it was a different animal back then too.
Is this after you had some pickups, or were you out there like, hey, I'll fix them for you? I'm just going to fix pickups.
This is after I started. Actually, that was the first broken pickup I bought. I started buying broken pickups off eBay for cheap.
Got it.
Just to see how they worked, to see if I can fix them.
And throw them back up there.
It happened to be an old 70s Telecaster bridge, which was actually worth some money. Mm-hmm. And I barely knew what I was doing. I put red poly wire, which is incorrect, vintage-wise. And so the guy kind of got a deal anyway. So he probably had somebody with more experience rewind it after I sent it to him. But yeah, that's how I got started, and I just got better and better, and I learned more, and I read a little bit up on the internet, but I would say most of my knowledge after I got going was just figuring things out on my own, just doing a lot of repair jobs.
Yeah, you've mentioned numerous times in our conversations where you really reference tearing the things apart and putting it back together. And I think when you do talk about your own pickups, you tend to talk more passionately about the ones that you are rewinding to spec. Like you have a set here that the first ones that you showed us, you can kind of talk about some of each of those pickups in a second. But that was that you could tell, like it's something that you do, but you really like doing it.
Of course. Well, I want people to have a chance to have a real 72 wide range pickup.
Yeah.
Instead of the reissue that Fender put out.
Yeah.
The reissue is it just sounds like a PAF humbucker. Something out of a Gibson.
Different.
Yeah.
So you're working. It's just you and your hands.
I get help every once in a while when it gets busy.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that I call.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the community, the sort of this is like Pickup Winders 101 kind of overview right now. But you've talked about the pickup community quite a few times. And
oh yeah.
Elaborate on that a little bit, will you?
Well. When I first started out, I think I got a hold of a few other pickup winders once or twice, and some of them gave me advice, but I was just scared to talk to other pickup winders because I come from the selling brick, and that's cutthroat, and you have different areas that you can or cannot sell this type of brick or whatever. So I was a little shy.
Yeah.
But when I started talking to other pickup winders, learning what they did, learning who they are, I became friends with them. And you learn a lot of things off of another pickup guy, and they learn a lot of things off of you because you figure things out differently. You might do something differently, and it might be easier than what you're doing may be easier than what the other guy's doing.
Right.
And vice versa. So I took a trip recently to Seattle, and I met Wolf Tone Pickups,
mm-hmm.
and we talk on the phone, every other day. I mean, we're always talking about different subjects and different things that's going on.
Wolf Tone, when you hear this, you got to hit us up, okay?
And great guy, man. And so I'm talking to him all the time. He's a really nice guy. He builds a really nice pickup. He's very particular about his line, which
mm-hmm.
is different, a lot different than mine. So I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah.
I also went to Lawler,
mm-hmm.
the Lawler factory or shop. It's bigger than a shop, so I'm just going to say fact. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
His operation is really big. He's got a small office and a little winder, and he's got 7 people winding for him. So it's great to go into a smaller winder guy and see what he's doing and get ideas off of him, and then you go to a larger scale shop and you see what they have to do to meet their needs. It's really interesting. And so yeah, the pickup community is pretty friendly.
That's good.
But there's always things you just don't want to disclose,
Sure.
So
yeah, everybody's got to keep their own secret sauce, right?
Right, but you don't want to burn bridges in the pickup community.
Yeah.
You just don't. You make one guy mad, and you'll have like 10 other guys after.
Is there like a secret handshake or special hats or something?
If there is, I don't know it yet, but I've seen
I want to think that you guys have special hats. I mean, what happened with that? Remember, like,
With special hats?
Yeah. I mean, think about it. When you're going through school, when you're going through school, it's like, okay, identify this guy. Oh, he's a train conductor because he's got the hat on. Oh, he's a bricklayer because he's got that hat. He's a chef. At some point, occupations had special hats, and that just went away. That's terrible.
Yeah, bricklayer used to go to work in really nice pants and a shirt and a tie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back then,
back in the old days.
Yeah. Yeah, because then they'd have to get off work and jitterbug. I don't know. That was terrible. I don't know what that means. Anyways, okay, so you have, when we went to the shop, and we're gonna post a bunch of pictures of Jeff and I's visit to Brandon's shop. It was a lot of fun. We were kids in a candy store to a certain degree. I know Jeff was, because Jeff, you're even more in tune with, I think, the scientific end of musicality and stuff.
I just like tearing stuff apart too.
Yeah, don't downplay
Nothing
it.
like it, man.
You're into it.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole bunch of cool machines, and I won't get into it because some of this is secret sauce.
And I like machines.
And you're like, well, yeah, machines are cool, and tools are cool, and guitars are cool. So I mean, that's a trifecta.
Yeah.
One thing that I will note is that, and I think this says a lot about your Jared, Alan, Brandon.
Sounds like a band name.
The Jared, Alan, Brandon band.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about how your work ethic, or your attitude, or your approach, or all three. I think there was one machine that we saw in particular that it either looked like one of my, very old grandpa's, like, concoctions that he made up with a bunch of extra stuff in the garage.
I want to see that.
or it was just kind of mad scientist-y kind of thing. And I was just like, okay, what the heck is this? And he showed us, and I was like, that's freaking genius. Like, that's really smart. It looked not really smart, I will say that. but that's okay. It's like, it doesn't have to, you don't, you probably could have bought a machine or something that does that.
And I have.
But you had this thing that you just completely rigged. And I was so impressed with that. And to me, that says, I can do this my way. I can figure out how to do this. I don't have to rely on somebody else's availability, knowledge, product, whatever, in order to make mine. I responded well to that.
Yeah, that machine has become my number one, and I know what you mean and how you explained it and everything, but if you do your homework, and this is not something that I expect anybody that's just a normal musician to do, but there's another winder named, the brand is Throwback, and he's known for having all the original old kind of machines that Gibson had. Mm-hmm. And I think one of them, I might be wrong, I think one or two of them did come from Kalamazoo. I know the Slug Winder did, and there's another one that he got recently that was the first winder that Gibson used to wind the first PAF humbuckers.
Oh, wow.
In the mid-50s, and to mid to late 50s, 57. And so my machine, I basically made the tooling that holds the bobbins. There's 4 bobbins. So I had the tooling designed kind of after the same design.
And the bobbin
as that machine. The bobbin is basically the pickup. It's the part of the pickup that holds all the wire.
Okay.
So that is a pickup bobbin. Like there's 2 bobbins on a humbucker, and the bobbins are the face of the pickup pretty much.
Right.
Hold the wire. So this thing holds 4 bobbins at a time, so you can do one set of pickups at a time. and which is pretty productive, man. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Anything after that, more than 4, and you're a one guy operation, it'll just seem like you're prepping more than that, and it just wastes time. And there's like a production formula there, but I don't want to go too much into that.
Yeah, thanks.
But anyway, yeah, I don't want to bore everybody, put everybody to sleep here. But and the part of the machine that where the wire comes in before it is spun onto the bobbin, that's more designed like one of the newer Gibson winders. So this really cool winder that you saw, and I have videos all over the internet of it too, so you can see it. It's
wait, are you talking about the winder, or are you talking about the unwinder?
No, the winder. Oh, you were talking about
I was talking about the unwinder, the one that you had like labeled for your, like you labeled all the functions on it, which I thought was hilarious because you should know what that is, but you made labels for them anyway,
just in case you're drinking,
just in case somebody else comes over to use it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really that's the 2x4 with the shaft coming out.
No, that's the secret sauce.
Proprietary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, saying that, but that's all I'll go into that. But that unwinds, yeah.
Well, I mean, that was probably what we spent more time looking at that than
It took me 5 minutes to make it too. That's the fun part.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you mean the label? Yeah. It took you like a week to make the other thing.
Right.
Didn't it?
That's my unwinder, man. I mean,
it's very complicated.
If you really want to get into pickups, I suggest you unwind pickups too. One time I unwound a really old P90, and it had not been touched up to this point. I unwound it, and at exactly 500 turns of unwinding, it was spliced. That wire was spliced, and it was spliced at Gibson.
Wow.
Is that a bad thing?
A lot of people don't. Yeah, it's not the greatest thing. Now, people tap pickups. You're basically splicing it. When you take half of it and then you put it to an eyelet on the outside of the bobbin, and then you put a lead to it, and you can get half the output and switch it to full power or whatever. But yeah, so I've seen a lot of interest. You can find out a lot of interesting things unwinding a pickup. And if you have to take old wire off a pickup, and because the pickup is dead, it doesn't have resistance anymore, unwinding is a better way to go in most cases, so you're not scoring and scratching up the plastic bobbin trying to get that copper wire off. So there you go, guys. There's a little trick for you.
So, sorry, I keep having to clear my throat. I can't get out of this sinus crap. It sucks. Okay, so we're definitely going to 2 episodes of this because we've got so many questions. But let's touch on, just for the time that we have, let's touch on I think probably what is your, at least maybe your core output, which is redoing to spec. That was something that there's a first pickup that you showed us in here. So we're looking at right now. You've got,
this is a Fender wide range pickup, and Fender came out with these in 1972.
Yep.
They wanted a humbucker pickup because Gibson had humbucker pickups, so they wanted to.
Right.
And Seth Lover did design this pickup too, and he worked for Gibson. And I haven't unraveled all that history. I'm sure there's a lot of guys that know why a Seth Lover designed pickup went to Fender. But they used a magnet, and the alloy was called Kunafi.
Okay.
And it's really weird how they made it. They had to procure the magnet at a certain degree. I believe it's a mixture of like copper and other things. And they had it made softer so you can machine the magnet to be a screw, so you can adjust the height. So they wanted the height adjustment option like Gibson had, but they still wanted the magnet to be a pole like the single coils, and they were really hot too. The pickups were really hot, and they had a higher resistance. And the higher resistance you have, the hotter a pickup is, the more output you get, because it works like kind of like a light bulb. A light bulb is really bright because there's a lot of resistance. That little filament. It's really hard for current to flow through there, so it lights up. Well, that's the result you get out of a hot pickup, is that there's so little resistance going through that pickup. It results in a hotter output. It's louder. So, what are you pointing at?
He's pointing at those cool plastic things.
Yeah, that's copper, nickel, iron, and cobalt.
That's the Kunafee.
Yeah, that's Kunafee. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's a lot of there. You could see the if you rub off an old Kunafee magnet, and you'll have fun with that one. But if you rub it down enough, you'll see the copper poking from inside. And you'll see that on older magnets. But
so that's just real quick. You talked about there's so many words that I think that we just take as are told to us, like, oh, you need an Alnico pickup or an Alnico speaker. Okay. It's not a brand name.
No, that's the grade of the magnet.
Right, and that is made of?
Aluminum, nickel, and all the other stuff.
Is it cobalt?
Yeah, cobalt.
Alnico? Yeah. But, yeah, so that's interesting when they're talking about the different kind of magnets. What else? There's and then ceramic magnets.
Right.
Which can you tell me a little bit about, like?
I don't use ceramic magnets all that much, but there are a lot of different grades of that. There's the rubbery that are, I don't know if there's a lot of ceramic in that, but and then you have your actual ceramic, like what come in the old Gibson Dirty Fingers, and a lot of your newer Fender made in Mexico, made in Japan or China or wherever use ceramic.
But you're using predominantly?
Mostly all Nico. 99.9% of what I use is all Nico.
Okay. Is that harder to get? Is that easier to get? Or does it matter?
It's a little more expensive because of the way it's manufactured.
Right. And and you use that for, I mean, is there a specific reason that you say, you know what, I need to use this kind of magnet?
All Nico is a traditional grade magnet that's used in most of the guitar pickups today.
Okay.
I'm sorry, in the past, and the old pickups, most of the new pickups, the premium pickups.
Yeah. There's a
mostly
cost thing involved with that. I remember you're talking to us about the posts on some things can be quite expensive.
And it depends where you get the all Nico at too. China, you can buy a high quantity of magnets for a low price, but they're from China. I mean, there's some good all Nico magnets coming out of China. The best all Nico that you can buy, that I've been told, is from Japan.
Interesting.
That is very interesting, because everybody wants everything about your pickup to be made in USA.
Yeah. And
there's only 2 or 3 existing magnet places that make all Nico.
Right.
In America, and they're really expensive. So, in the industry standard, it's kind of wide. There's industry standards on your grades, and you can get an all Nico 5 from factory B, and then go to factory A, and they'll be both called all Nico 5, and they can sound a little different.
Interesting.
The strengths can be different because there is an industry standard. I think all Nico 4, there's a lot of talk about, well, there really isn't much of an industry standard on all Nico 4, so they can be all over the place.
So when you're talking about standard, you're talking about like the strength, the magnetic strength that is expected?
I'm talking about the mixture of alloys.
So what does that get you as far as like tonal? Like, is there that much difference of tonality, and is it about the strength of the magnet or just what it's made out of?
That's an argument, and I don't want to take a particular side, but what I've actually gotten into and what I believe is the strength of the magnet, and that has a lot to do with tone, because the strength of the magnet will power the magnetic flux, and a flux is a strength of a magnetic flow that surrounds the upper pickup area, and when you pluck your strings, the oscillation interrupts that flow, and that's what gives you your sound. That's the pickup. It's picking up that sound. It's picking up that vibration. And
we just learned something. That's cool. I like that.
It's crazy. And
we learned that oscillation means vibration.
Yeah. You can change it easily on how you pluck that string. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's pinch harmonics. Mm-hmm. There's, you know, if you use dynamics a lot and you're playing, you know, you can basically control your tone. And I want to just tell you a quick story. What I'm talking about to reiterate that is there's a fellow that lives local here named Andy Harrison, and he's been touring with national acts for, I don't know, 17, 18, 20 years, and he picked up Jeff Beck's rig. And
when you mean picked it up,
he is a tech, and I'm sorry if that's not the right term, but he's a very experienced guitar technician.
Okay.
He's very good at what he does. He picked up his rig because I didn't hear the story from him. I heard a story from a mutual friend. Yeah. And on the road somewhere, he played his guitar, Jeff's guitar, through Jeff's amp, because obviously he was setting it up or something. And he said it sounded like crap. He said, "Oh my gosh, this thing sounds awful. Mm-hmm. Like, how does he play this?" He puts it down. Jeff Beck comes up and he plays it, and it sounds like heaven. It sounds awesome. It's the way you play.
Yeah. So, well, that's been echoed by, all the greats that when they are asked about their tone, Keith, Billy Gibbons, like Eddie, Eddie V. First name basis on Eddie Total Strangers. That's how I roll,
right?
Pretty much. But no, that's something that absolutely is a huge part of that.
Yeah, so it's not easy when a customer calls and says, "Hey man, I want to sound like Angus Young."
Right. Yeah.
I want it to sound like. Then they have like 5 or 6 different artists on there that are totally different.
Yeah.
I need the one set that can do all of this.
So we totally derailed you a little. Well, we kind of derailed you because the magnet thing. That's the black. That's what I was saying. Like dark arts.
That's a very big factor.
Magnets and widenings is like it's crazy. So. Jared, Brandon, Alan,
either one of you
Steve.
Answer.
You lent me us. Actually, he was kind enough. He gave us 5 guitars. I think he gave us 5 guitars.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
And we passed them around and we got to play them, and they all had different pickups in them. I actually tested the output on all those pickups comparatively to guitars that we have, that we own. And it was really interesting to see the differences. You could definitely hear the differences. I think the one that grabbed me the most, you have
it's a cop.
The Telecaster Custom.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's the speedboat guitar.
Yeah,
yep.
We call it the speedboat because, and we'll probably see a couple pictures of it. It's got heavy aqua blue, not a turquoise. It's more of a aquamarine blue, metal
sparkle,
flake sparkle, and a white pickguard and a maple neck, and it looks surf-tastic.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you see a guitar and you're like, oh man, I want to play that. Aesthetic plays so much into that. It's bananas. And I picked this thing. I was like, man, this is not my jam. Let me tell you that. It's got belly cut and the whole deal. And it's like, the headstock was cool. It's like a CBS headstock.
Yeah, the big one. Sure.
And I picked it up and I started playing it. I was like, holy crap, this thing sounds amazing. And so that is the custom. So you got, and that's 72 reissue custom, right?
Yes. Yep.
So that 72 reissue, that's the one with the the Gibson style knobs.
The witch hats, yeah.
Yeah, the witch hats for it. But you did push pulls on them.
I split the pickups. I split the signal of those humbuckers, and because those humbuckers are traditionally hot, the original 72s, they're like 10.5 K, whereas a normal pickup is around 6 to 7, and your Gibson humbuckers to around 8K. So quite a bit hotter. So when you do split the signal, you get that traditional, Fender single coil sound out of that pickup. And if you do that, that guitar is very useful.
Yeah. Well, you figure it's 3 position because you got your 2 pickups, but you're able to split both of them. I'm not a math wizard, so I'm not even going to try to figure out how many actual combinations you have, but it's a ton. And
also goes out of phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put that in the mix. But aside from all the trickery there, the pickups that you rewound for that, talk about those real quick, and we'll go out with that.
Yeah. So basically, I did the 1972 specification, and it's called a wide range. I used the
Why do they call it a wide range?
Well, they're wide because
a humbucker.
It's hard to explain without showing the listeners picture, but if you look at a humbucker, you have the two bobbins, and then you have a screw side that's adjustable, and you have a slug side that's not adjustable. Now, if you take those bobbins off that pickup frame and you pull them, you push them away from each other a little bit, that's going to change the magnetic flux. It'll widen it, and it actually thickens the sound. So it's a lot more thick. I like to say thick and juicy. I don't know why. That's what I say. That's
what you need to name the pickups then.
Thick and juicy. Yeah. I like Wendy's, man. I think Wendy's uses juicy a lot, man.
I don't know. They might.
I like Wendy's.
Yeah. Dude, Wendy's use the term juicy a lot in their hamburgers. So
marketing.
There you go.
Right. So that sticks in my head. I don't know. That's Wendy's is a weakness.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
Dunkin's got the quarter pounder, so
there it is.
Go for the thick and juicy.
No, you go overseas, it's a Royale.
Yeah.
So the further away the two bobbins are from each other, the magnetic points, which is the screws and the slugs, the thicker the sound. So that alone changes a lot. It turns a Fender into a different sounding guitar, not any Fender, not your traditional Fender. So that's number one.
Not only does it turn into not a Fender, but it turns into not quite a humbucker either.
Right. It's a little more thicker than that. The output is a little higher, and the magnets themselves, they're not that strong, and the flow of the magnetic, it's a lot different than a normal humbucker. A normal humbucker has a magnetic bar, and this has the pull pieces. So it's different all around. And not only that, throw in the fact that the cover, is I don't know how you say this, but the top 3 holes or the top 3 screws are exposed and the bottom are not, and vice versa. So yeah, it's a really cool pickup, and that's what I did was I made mine the traditional way. Now the magnets I use are not Kunafi. They do not make that anymore. Mm-hmm. They are really difficult to make. They're really expensive to make, and they have another way of making these. It's more of an Alnico mix alloy, but a little softer.
But the original ones were.
Right. The originals were that material, easy to machine. Now,
so that, I mean, I'm going to just jump in real quick. I hope I did I just turn myself off?
No,
your stupid microphone cable. So that gives, I think one of the questions that I had, and I'm sure many others do, is like, why would you bother rewinding a pickup? Why didn't you just go get a new pickup or go get a replacement that's different? But that is one of those excellent reasons, aside from being just an ultra, purist about, no, there has to be this amount of winds for this tone, but that's literally working with different materials. So if you have an actual legit wide range pickup original,
it's way different than
and you would want to
Fender doesn't have them made this way,
right?
Because it's more expensive, I guess. I mean, I believe that their reissue wide ranges are made in Korea, or Japan, or one of those places over there. So, and they're not made anything like the original 72 humbucker,
right?
And I also I provide a modify service where you send me your reissue. My parts fit your reissue cover and your frame.
So you don't have to. You're not necessarily buying all new pickups.
You're not buying an all new pickup. You're having me modify your reissue pickups
to make it sound right.
To make it sound 1972, the real deal.
Right.
So that's a really great service that I have. It saves you from paying, $200 to $300 for a set of somebody else's, wide ranges that are they're not as close as mine are. So yeah, I'm really glad I got into the wide range.
Now, is that something? Because honestly, after I was playing that, I was like, "Holy mackerel! How can I get this into one of my other guitars?" I mean, I'm even considering. For a second, I was like, "Oh, I could put these into my Telecaster Custom 2, which it's the same style guitar except it has two P90s, and that was a." It was a very short run of those, but I was like, those sound amazing. I could put those, but then I thought, no, just get another guitar.
That's right.
Yeah,
you have to, or else you have to.
And then I'll put those in there.
Yeah, you don't want to route into your guitar, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these are boats. I mean, these are huge pickups.
We talked about this on an earlier episode, but I'm almost certain that it originally was. When I took the pick cover off,
is it a big swimming pool?
Completely. I'll have to show you a picture. I mean,
maybe we can put it in for you.
It looked like a 5-year-old got a hold of a router. Honestly, it's nuts.
Did you buy it new from the factory?
No, I got it used, but that was a factory run where they put Duncan made specifically for that guitar. But I have to believe that they said we've got a whole lot of stock of these either regular Telecasters or 72s, and they just gutted the insides and put that pickguard with those specific to that guitar pickups in it.
I know the 90s Fender Pluses, they came with the big swimming pool route.
Yeah. I'll have to show you a picture. You tell me what you think. But anyways, man, so we basically just scraped the surface just to get a background on some of these pickups and what you do. We will do another episode, and that episode we will cover off on, I think, helping us to understand the differences. Like, this is the range of pickups. These are the differences in those pickups. Why is a PAF different than a standard humbucker? What's the deal with P90s, single wound, double wound, blah 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 blah. We'll have to do that in another episode because that warrants a whole other one for sure. Top 4 of awesomeness this week, this episode. It's episode. It's not calendar. So like somebody listening is like, what the week are you talking about? I don't know. All right. This episode's top 4 is Jay.
Pickup position of choice. Choice.
So, so what does that mean, Jay?
Well, what I think it means is which pickup do you like to use more on your guitar? Like a neck position or a bridge position? Or if you have 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the most pickups you've ever seen in a guitar? What's the most possible? You could have like,
well,
how many does
possible.
Bootsy Collins have?
Just about anything's possible, but I mean,
I've seen the
you
3.
do see the 3 like on a Black Beauty quite often, but
Japanese ones, they got like 4 or 5 in there.
yeah,
Really?
some of the
That's
older Japanese,
crazy.
but then like 5 or 6 single coils.
Yeah, Fender had a Marauder, and it was a prototype that I don't think ever went in production. And it's a pick guard that has you don't see any pickups, but there's 4 of these huge honking rectangular pickups underneath. And I believe there's...
That sounds awful.
There it is.
Oh.
I mean, it's sorry about that. You guys can't see what we're seeing here. But they're about 4 inches long by about 1.5 inches. I mean, they are
Massive.
huge, massive.
Are they
pickups.
massive because they have to get through a pick guard?
They have to get through a picker. They have to hold a bunch of pole piece magnets, like rod magnets.
Right.
I believe there's 16 on each
Holy
pickup.
cow.
Yeah, you have to create
Sound like Phil Rizzuto right there.
a really
Holy cow.
Right, a real strong magnetic power to reach where the strings are.
Right.
You know,
So the Marauder
Makes you
looks
sterile
like
if
a
you play it too
Jaguar
long.
without pickups in it.
yeah, pretty much.
That's weird, man.
I built one. I built the pickups for a fella here local, and I played it. Sounded okay. Sounded pretty good, but there was nothing miraculous or spectacular about it, and I think that's probably why they didn't.
Miracular. Spectaculous.
Miraculous.
That's right.
I like that.
Spectacular.
Did I say those things?
No, I didn't. It's fine. Cool. All right, so let's see here. Let's go around the horn. Jared, Alan, Brandon.
Oh, that's a very tough question because I'm always switching back and forth. But my favorite that I think I really judge a guitar on has got to be the neck position.
Interesting.
It's,
Why?
It's got to be. Well, your strings are oscillating the most, and at where your pickup's at.
Yeah.
And so where your pickup is in the neck position because it's close to the neck, so the strings are oscillating.
So
pretty
for
widely,
all
so-
those like vocabulary challenged folks out there, when you're talking about string oscillation,
They vibrate
elaborate.
the most.
Okay.
Yeah, that's there. Yeah, so there's a path in which the string travels when it's plucked.
Right.
And
it's kind of it kind of goes in a circular path.
In a
Just like
circular
if you,
pattern.
If you have a rubber band and you're holding it, you pluck it, it looks like it's going in a
that's
circle.
why you have more bass response in that position. But a half dirty neck position, single coil pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking 60 cycle, single coil, straight through an amp. It's got to be my favorite.
Interesting.
Neck position has to.
That's
be.
interesting because you're like a hard rock guy, and playing hard rock power chords on a neck pickup is rough.
I like blues too.
Okay.
No, really?
I think so. I could be
Because-
dead wrong. I mean, I don't.
Power chords in the neck position
Would be
like
balls. They would have I don't think it'd be more
It's
meaty.
Well,
definitely
I
a
mean,
lot
but it
fatter.
depends on what
it's
kind of
muddy
pickups
though.
you
You don't
have,
get
too.
the
Yeah, it's just-
brightness that
yeah.
you do in the bridge.
It's
when
muddier.
Yeah.
It's muddy.
You can maybe open chords like maybe with the I don't know.
The beginning of "Sweet Child of Mine," that's neck position. you
Yeah.
know.
But that's also
It's very creamy.
picking
Right.
as opposed to like I don't know. That's
Very-
interesting.
very
I
creamy up
wouldn't have
there,
pegged
though.
that because like when we went over to your house to check out your winding laboratory, you're busting out the Zeppelin and the AC/DC, and
Those
that's
are
not
just
something that
go-to
I would
things.
associate with a single pickup creamy neck position as your choice. Curious. Okay, Jay,
So I'm gonna say neck position.
this is
I
where he
always say so at
qualifies
the beginning,
whatever
right?
he's going to do, and then
for different reasons. Because I'm not a very good guitar player, so I'm just like a rhythm guitar player, really.
Right, but I mean, for those maybe who don't know your entire background, you're a bass guy.
Yeah, I'm a bass player, and so, but I love guitar too. But I'm just more of a rhythm guitar player. So I used to have this Epiphone Alley Cat, and it had this little mini humbucker on the neck.
I like a mini humbucker.
And it was really, I liked how it sounded when I was playing power chords because it was real like low and bassy and maybe muddy. And I wasn't, clarity was not what I was going for, but I liked the neck too because it just seemed louder and ballsier to me than treblier,
Right. Interesting.
So
yeah,
that
no,
was my-
I can get down with that on a mini. I like that idea. Okay. F.A., what you got?
Neck.
What? Really?
Why would you not?
Gosh, I think I would have spun the bridge if I would have known everybody else was going to choose that.
copying.
So I like I like the neck, and I don't know what this actual pickup combination is, but like on a Tele, it's neck and you notch it back one notch.
Right.
It's like neck and an out of phase bridge, maybe. Not quite sure what is actually going on.
So on a standard Tele?
On
Like
mine,
a 3-position Tele?
No, mine's a 5-position, so I'm not sure what it's hitting there. But it's
Right, but you only have 2 pickups, right?
Yeah, so it's taking
Not like a Nashville special, or a Nashville,
right.
like mine.
So basically, it's knocking off a little bit of that muddiness and that meat, making it a little bit more hollow.
Right.
So I like a little bit more of the hollow tone because my front pickup is super hot. So it gets a little too muddy up there, and I like that little bit of that hollowness. So, but I'm still neck all the way up.
All the way up. All right. Well, I guess
Let's just guess.
neck. No. I know. Honestly, I find myself just playing. I think most of the stuff I play tends to be definitely in the bridge position. I'm less comfortable in the neck area because I always feel like to me it sounds like I'm not playing right because I play a little bit harder and I do a lot of power chords and I do a lot of open chords. So that typically doesn't sound super awesome for me on the neck. There are obviously occasions where I'm like, no, this needs a neck, but then I feel like I have to do a lot to compensate for that. But that also could mean that I have like craptastic pickups in some of my stuff. So I don't know.
Or
curious.
position, maybe lower or higher. Get rid of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I always feel like the neck has so much more tonal variety to it as well. Like you can get so many different tones out of it versus bridge. You're kind of limited to a certain degree, but there's so much more variety up top.
Yeah.
Especially with fingers.
I can see
You
that.
lost your mic. They're back.
There it goes.
You're back.
I'm back. Oh yeah, baby, I'm back. How about now?
You're in.
Oh man. Okay, so I guess we got to get new mic cables. Shizer.
Who can we get to get us mic cables?
Rattlesnake.
Yeah.
I got to get a hold of that guy.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
He's listening. So what's up, Hank? Donovan, how you doing, man? Out of Rattlesnake.
He's not responding. What?
Where is he?
Where is he? He's in the computer.
You need.
Yeah. We need to get you. Yeah, you guys need to get in touch with each other.
Yeah, he ought to give you a deal for 4 mic cables.
Yeah. No. He doesn't. I don't think they do the mic cables.
Sorry.
They just
Yeah.
do the guitar.
I think he said he was talking about
You were talking about doing that.
Trying to
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Hey, that wraps up the top 4. And dude, thank you so much for bringing all of your wares in. It's funny when I was telling Jeff, I said, man, we got to get him on the show. Part of me was going like, how are we going to talk about pickups for this? And after we visited you, I was like, oh, we got like 3 shows worth of material here. I mean, so it was. I just really appreciate you doing that. Anyways, Hefe
Yes, sir.
and Jay, Silent J. Yes, sir. So, all right. See you guys. Thanks for listening.
What the?
That was very Barney, like from.
Homer.
That was even better.
with his lips flapping.
Oh, come on, Mo. Just one more beer. Oh, that's it for these knobs. Please join us on Facebook.com/groups/guitar knobs and tell us what you think and share your stories and guitar stuff along with ours. You can also find us at twitter.com/guitar_knobs and also at our website at guitarknobs.podbean.com.